Hello everyone, sorry for the delay on the news. That Gen Con preview video took a bit more to get done. Definitely go check that one out. But it's time for us to discuss what's been happening this week in tabletop news for the week of July 20th, 2022. Earlier, we talked about the winner for the Kinderspiel, Magic Mountain, but now we know the winners for both the Spiel des Jahres and the Kennerspiel. Now, for Spiel des Jahres, it was Cascadia. For me, this is not that big of a surprise. I've played it, and it is definitely a game that is worth the award, and I love so much about it, and it's easily a game I think can hit the table regardless for families or more advanced players. I have not played the other two, Scout or Top 10, but honestly, it was going to be a bit of an uphill battle for them against Cascadia. Now, on the other hand, Kennerspiel, I'm actually surprised. The winner was Living Forest. I'm not surprised because I played this and didn't like it. In fact, it was the only one I didn't play on the list. The thing that surprises me is that the other two, Dune, Imperium, and Cryptid, are games that I love. These are games that I would always suggest playing and be excited if it hit the table. So now that I've seen them lose to Living Forest, I'm now, maybe my expectations are a bit higher, but I'm definitely going to have to try this out and see if I can even pick up a copy at Gen Con. Though now that this has been announced, I bet it's going to be a little bit hard for me to try and grab one. That all said, congratulations, though, to the winners as well as the runners-up. The fact that you're nominated means that you're a game worthy of space on the shelf. I can attest to all the ones that I've played here that are still great. So definitely check out all these games. And if you're at Gen Con, time to fight the lines. But remember, walk, don't run to try to get a copy of some of these winners. If you peruse the board gaming landscape, then you've come across BoardGameCo. They have tons of amazingly produced videos, but they also run a store that seems to focus more on the trading and selling side rather than simply just buying the new product. However, there have been some weird issues people have come across, and it turns out this is because that Alex, who runs it, is planning on ending the store. He made a post on BoardGameGeek confirming that yes, the store is slowly shutting down and they're getting through the final processes, but there will be a video posted later that goes into more detail. I assume, by the way, by that this is just the store closing down, not the entire BoardGameCo company and channel. Obviously, until that video is released, we don't know too much, though. Just from my own experiences, I have a sneaking suspicion that while a lot of people are saying it's the bottom line, I mean, that's always part of it. Nothing's ever one issue note. I bet a big issue is just being spread way too thin. It's hard to run a channel and a store and work-life balance. And I wouldn't be surprised, especially now with their channel doing very well, at least last I checked, that looking at the store, it wasn't providing not only the income, but also the enjoyment, the personal satisfaction compared to the channel. And if you're going to focus on that kind of stuff, you're going to probably focus on the one that, even if it doesn't bring as much money or obvious money, it is more satisfying to complete. This could be me projecting a little bit too, back when we ran the digital store as well as trying to run the channel. And that was before even anything's been going on now. I imagine right now for him, it was just a nightmare when it came to shipping and making sure it made it on time and the pricing. So there's even more factors to be considered there. But luckily, like I said, it does seem the channel should be here to stay. You still will be able to head there to get any kinds of board game reviews or news that you need. The King's Dilemma is one of my favorite legacy games, and it turns out it's now going to enter the realm of video games. The King's Dilemma Chronicles is a new game from a new publisher, Big Trouble, in which you are actually going to be playing by yourself against AI as your advisors, playing through what I can only assume to be a very similar storyline. This is something that's, one, very exciting because now I can actually play this game by myself, but also I find it interesting because I'm seeing recently, I would think of the Gloomhaven video game, the Nemesis game. I feel a lot of these bigger multi-session games are now looking to have a digital version to be able to fulfill, and they're looking at these moments where like, oh, the group might not get up around so often, and this could hurt our audience in terms of like some people just won't get the chance to play these games because they can't meet up every single week, or they're just Sometimes one person misses out, but we want people to still experience this moment. I wonder if this is actually what we're going to start seeing more of through Kickstarter, is maybe not only make the big miniature board game, but there needs to be a digital tie-in as your solo experience. Obviously, the world of coding and digital marketplaces is a whole new can of worms for the designers, but I still think it is one worth going after, as there is a very large video game market, and having some crossover there, as well as giving some people the experience when they can't meet up with people to play some of these games, is something worth taking a look at. CMON has announced their plans for the future, and the big one everyone is excited about is their new Dune game coming to Kickstarter. Now, there are tons of Dune games out there, but the reason this one's got a lot of people excited is because they've gone Francesco Nepitello and Marco Maggi, I'm really sorry for mispronouncing those names, to help create this game. If you don't recognize those names, they are the designers for War of the Ring, a well-loved Lord of the Rings war game that has you pit against a side of, I guess you call it good for evil there? I think we can call that one good versus evil. You will have to choose a side, either commanding House Atreides with the Freemen or joining House Harkonnen. Either way, a lot of people are really excited because like I said, War of the Ring, really well loved. So to have the Dune franchise and the people who made the original go and take this on is going to be something people are really excited. And coming from CMON means you also get some very nice miniatures. Obviously, this is coming to Kickstarter, so we don't know everything, if there'll be certain exclusives. There will be, we just don't know what and how big it is, what the price will be. So keep an eye out for that if you are a fan of either War or the Dune universe. The final one is a bit interesting. Magic the Gathering has announced that they'll no longer print in either Russian, Korean, or Chinese traditional. To my knowledge, that only means they won't print them in the language, not that they'll stop selling them to the areas those are spoken. Just means you're going to have to pick them up in another language. My guess off the top of my head, it'd be English for simplicity for a lot of things, but you'll still be able, depending on the region, to get either, like I said, English, Japanese, Chinese simplified, German, Italian, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. I think that's all of them. Yell at me. I'll make a note on the video right now if I missed one. Yeah, some of these make sense. I imagine the Chinese traditional and simplified is simply just, look, we're just going to go for this one for Chinese. I don't speak any of that, but you can let me know if that makes perfect sense. The Korean one, I guess because, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of these have to do with sales, and in particular, Korea is in between both China and Japan, so they're like, I'll choose one of those. This would be my thought process. And Russian, there's a lot of stuff going on with Russia right now. I don't know if that played a part or not, maybe, but we'll have to see if this makes a difference or not. I want to ask now, like other board game designers, because we sometimes seen rule books included in multiple languages in a box. And do they just assume certain languages will be fine? Do they know their marketplaces, or are they just going to be like, we're going to go with English? That will hopefully do well enough. And if we feel there's a big enough marketplace in insert country name, we'll do their primary language. This is just an interesting idea, and how it's weird that you add and remove languages for an existing line versus, I guess, for one print when it comes to board games. And it's something I would love someone who's actually in the industry a bit more to discuss, and their thoughts on this and how they decide and how they make sure people don't feel too ostracized when their language is either cut or just never appears in the tabletop industry. Let's get to announcements now. I think there are a lot of games here people are excited about. First off, we have Black Panther Legendary. This is based off the Black Panther hero, the comics, not the movie, and will include heroes from Wakanda as well as villains. They have some new keywords like ambush and empower, so we'll have to see how this mixes in with everything, and including the previous Black Panther heroes. Then we've got Wordle. Yes, there is now a Wordle board game, so you can now guess and compete with your friends that way. We've also got a Squid Games game. I I guess I say, playing through all the mini micro games and also probably missing the point of the actual meaning of the show. Sticking with Netflix, though, we have another show coming as a board game, and that's Stranger Things. This one titled Attack of the Mind Flayer. This one actually comes from friend of the show, Joey Vigor, who did Growl, which is what this game is based off of. We love Growl. It is a really fun party, social deduction kind of style game. So I highly recommend you take a look at this one. If you're a fan of Stranger Things, I think it'll be worth your time. Sticking with TV show properties, but now returning to CMON, we have expansions for Zombicide featuring the cast of The Boys. Now, there are actually going to be 3 different expansions. The first one include the super-powered Heroes, the 7, I believe they're called, you see, as playable characters. The second expansion will include The Boys. And the final one is actually designed to take the soups and actually make them zombies so you can actually fight against them. This is not something I expected, but I guess in terms of the violence of The Boys and zombies being what zombies usually are, it's probably makes perfect sense. But what's interesting is with the Marvel Zombicide, which I think in our crossover, that means we can take them and put them against the Marvel zombies and then have a 3-way crossover of The Boys, Zombicide, and Marvel. So go nuts. Our final 2 are announced relatively recently, one being today as of filming, so totally the reason why I delayed this. The first one is the big box for the Vampire Masquerade Rivals game. Always a big fan of that. That means easier to sort, easier to store, easier to carry, which means more likely to be played at game nights. The second one is Undaunted Battle for Britain. This is part of the Undaunted World War II deck building series. This is a standalone that focuses on dogfights in the air. Let me know if this is one you're looking forward to, or if any of the other announcements are what you're excited about to get to your table. I hope you left some room after those announcements because we still got some great Kickstarter Pickstarters for you to chew on. First off, we have Star Realms Rise of the Empire. If you don't know, Star Realms is a deck building game that started very small and easy, almost like a size of a deck of cards kind of deal, and now has expanded into a giant franchise with tons of expansions, be it packs, special cooperative modes, and this is actually a prequel to the entire story of the Star Realms world, but it is a legacy game. You're going to play through the story, making decisions on what gets added to the deck, how you compete, see who gets the most wins, and you're going to end up with playable cards that can be mixed with your regular Star Realms collection. While getting people together for a legacy game is one of the things that makes me a bit more worried about this genre, which is why I talked a bit more about that during the King's Dilemma story. This is something I think still is fun. The game is one I could play back-to-back, Star Realms. I love the deck building game. But there is another small edition that you can get, which I really like the idea of. It's called the Infinite Replayability Set. What they did is they have the sticker form for, if you really like that, making the permanent change, but some of us are always a bit more worried about that. So this infinite replayability, in essence, looked at what is every possible combination you can make to edit these cards and included it in there. So you can swap out the physical version, meaning you can reset the game back to original if you want to play through the campaign again, or if you're playing with the actual Star Realms card game, you can combine those if you were like, I want to see if we use this version of it versus this color version. I think that's a very clever idea to sort of try to get the best of both worlds. If you just want that campaign with the stickers, it's $59, but if you want to go infinite, that one's going to be $79. Next one takes 2 classics and mashes them together. Pathfinder Revolution from Steve Jackson Games is actually a re-implementation of the game Revolution, but using the Pathfinder skin. Though this is not a one-to-one copy, they have made some improvements to the mechanics, added some new little rebalancing and rules, and I'm sure some other cards in order to make it a smoother game. You can pick up this game for $60, but you can pledge more for some other goodies. The one I can't help but giggle a little bit at is you can also get Pathfinder Munchkin with it, which seems to be a perfect pairing. The final one is a supplement for D&D 5th edition, but it was something that I saw that I thought looked really cool. It is Steinhardt's Guide to Eldritch Hunts. This is, as I said, a supplement for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and seems to include tons of crazy, more eldritch-like creatures for you to add to your campaign, as well as new rules. It's obviously, when it comes to any of these supplements, it's going to be more of like what your campaign, what your group is looking for. But this one looks really well produced, and obviously the creatures, I love the design behind all of them, and this is definitely the kind of thing I want to see and try to fight against, which makes sense that my hunter was looking at, I forget what they called it. Like the monster group I was good at was eldritch creatures, even though I came across like one. I did what I thought was cool. Anyway, you can get this PDF for $30, or you can get a book for $60 if you want to have it look nice up on your shelf. Finally, we got some crowdfunding projects ending. A lot of these are ones I've talked about before. There's the Amon-Ra 20th Anniversary Edition. So if you want that, you got to head over to GameFoundry to pick that one up. There's also that Backman sort of AR puzzle box. There's also that deluxe Hanafuda deck along with the 100 Tori Diverging Path expansion. So if you really want those beautiful cards, snatch that one up. And finally, with Snapship Tactics, this is a game in which you actually craft your ship instead of just having your miniatures. So imagine X-Wing, but with for lack of a better word, almost like a deck building element to it. So each ship is going to be customized how you want to fight or fly. However, that is it for now. Thank you so much. And sorry for the delay on this news video. And of course, if you're going to Gen Con, make sure to watch my Gen Con preview video so you know your route plans and what games to expect. And if I missed anything, let me know. Also, if you're at Gen Con, feel free to say hi. Just look for the very frazzled person running around in circles looking confused. Now, if you're not going to be there, stay tuned each night because I'm going to go live talking about what I did, who I talked to, what I saw. So this is a way you can still stay up to date on what's happening at Gen Con. But for now, thank you so much for staying tuned to the end of this video. Please like and subscribe. And you think someone would be interested in one of these news stories, share it with them. Let me know your thoughts on these news stories, these announcements as well. And of course, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Will, and this has been Roll for Crit.